It's the beginning of another weekend. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Before we invite the ladies, I'd like to acknowledge the birthday of somebody very special to all of us because Mr. Tijani is somebody that has been a close friend of the house. His mom is 80 years today. That is Alaja Feyishike Titilayo Shifawu Tijani on her 80th birthday tomorrow, actually, February 5th. Happy birthday to Alaja.
Happy birthday,
it's going to be tomorrow. May God give her long life and more health.
Yes.
How are you doing, Mariam?
Fine, I'm doing great. And this morning, you know, there's something about book sales. It comes 1, 2, 3, you know, and the reviews are just really heartwarming for me. And I just want to thank you. I just feel like it's always like I need to send individual messages to these people. And a lot of people are saying they feel so proud, especially those in diaspora, like, oh, I feel so proud that this is coming from here, you know, and I want to say thank you to all of you too.
Fantastic.
Keep buying.
Well done, well done. How are you doing, Elijah?
I'm fine and grateful to God. I was working yesterday when I got a scare call from a loved family member who had a little health scare, but we're grateful to God. Things are stable this morning, and so all of us can go back to our businesses as usual. We thank God for life.
Health scares are always very scary, trust me.
This person is available for everybody in the family. You know, when they call and say, that person,
everybody stands still.
Kitty, kata, kata, straight to first stack yesterday. But I was tired, dead tired when I got home yesterday. But I'm grateful that, you know, we're all stable in the morning.
Good to see you. Hello. Hi. Obiajilu. Importer, exporter.
Pure water.
How you doing?
I'm great, yeah. So we've started a new book for the month of February in our book club. Yes, we're reading Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Yeah, I read
I'm
that
focusing
10 years
on
ago.
leadership this year. So we're taking a lot of books on leadership, and I'm handling the book review today. So I've actually raised warriors. They've been holding down the forts, doing the book reviews whether I'm there or not.
No.
But I'm starting this month. I'm handling the book review, and I'm excited because I'm happy that people are beginning to read, and a lot of them are able to start businesses. They are doing things. They are excited about gaining knowledge, you know. And I'm just excited myself on their behalf.
Well done. Yesterday we hung out at High Point.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it was nice hanging out. It was a nice place. Well done too. Because they're also a friend of beautiful place. They're also a friend of the house. They've always supported the show. So we went there to support the opening of their new event, High Point.
Very nice.
Well done to Adibi. Okay, lots of things happening in Nigeria, but first let's go on a break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we'll start with The Nation. Buhari rebuffs lobby to shift APC convention date. Ohaneze, Igbo not interested in leaving Nigeria. Zulum warns on ISWAP threats to Nigeria. Osho APC governorship primary holds February 19th. Nigeria rejects coup as means to change government. And Ladoja high chiefs to endorse Balogun as Olubado. Okay, which story?
Yes, so Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State is saying that ISWAP is a threat to our country. The news is that, you know, they're coming all the way from Libya. They're settling in all these countries that are neighbors. And that, and he's saying that, see, ISWAP is a more sophisticated, better funded, and more educated group than Boko Haram. That federal government, Nigeria, needs to look at retooling the military. The military needs to look at re-strategizing its plan in fighting insurgencies, or else Boko Haram will be child's play compared to ISWAP if given the grounds to fester in our country. And he says that there's also need for external assistance. He says America, Britain, with all their army and all their equipment, still seek external assistance when they find themselves in situations like this, and that the idea of using mercenaries is not a bad idea. The federal government, yes, it acknowledges that there have been some wins concerning fights against Boko Haram, but engaging mercenaries will go a long way in helping. And then in the same vein, we have the Minister for Information. he says he was pointing out that the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit have discovered in their investigation 96 financiers of terrorism, 424 associates and supporters of these financiers, 123 companies that are involved, 33 bureau de change companies, 26 suspected bandits and kidnappers, 7 co-conspirators, and then they said 45 have been arrested in relation to this. But then, you know, the way this was couched, I don't know if that's exactly how he said it. He said they'll get their day in court. I'm like, financiers of terrorism, you get your day in court. Why are we not dragging them through the media and we are seeing their faces and their names and calling them out on it? So I don't get it. It's so tame.
In Nigeria, you name them and then they'll get away at the end of prosecution. Even the ones that were prosecuted do get away here. But if it's abroad, they don't get away. Let's have a substantive, tight, well-done case so that by the time we're trying them, we're setting up the consequences.
But if we don't know them, don't you think they can easily hide?
Exactly.
And we don't hear anything. Let's know them
They
first.
name them and then they buy their ways out.
Okay. Yeah, so Ohaneze Ndigbo is saying that it's time for the Igbo people to, you know, have the presidency for 2023, that Igbos are not secessionists or separatists. Igbos are prepared and deserve the presidency, and it is politically defensible and morally justifiable. So he went ahead to say they had a very long, it was called a marathon meeting in Enugu State, and they talked about, aside from the presidency, saying that it's the time for this decision to be taken, it's the time, it's like an idea that its time has come, quoting the scriptures saying that there's a time for everything and it's the time for Igbo people to, you know, have the presidency. They also talked about the incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu, that the federal government should, you know, tamper justice with mercy, that it's also time for them to use mercy on this particular case. Then he talked about the fact that a lot of things are going on right now, and other people have had, one of the issues that we have in the country is the issue of unfairness and injustice. And if we trace it back to history, how we had the Civil War and everything, we realize that people still felt a bit of marginalization. But when we give an Igbo person an opportunity right now, because it has been agreed, we now see how things will turn out differently.
So the Vice President attended the ECOWAS Extraordinary Summit yesterday, and they were talking specifically about the recent coups that's been happening in Africa. They're saying that that which happened in Mali started that the ripple effect that happened in Guinea and Burkina Faso, and saying that democracy remains the preferred system of government across Africa, and that all the presidents alongside he was there with the Ghanaian president Akufo-Addo also, saying that they condemned the military takeover, and they are in talks with the military junta to ensure that normalcy is restored in these states, and that across the continent they are in agreement that democracy is the way, and it's that the only change of government has to be a democratic system, not through military. Okay, let's move on quickly to The Punch. PDP CSOs lampoon FG as NFIU uncovers 96 terrorism financiers. Kwara Baptist School shut as fresh crisis erupt over hijab. Kingmakers nominate Lekan Balogun as new Olubadan. Police smash Lagos Ibadan highway kidnap syndicates, gang members flee. Okorocha meets Buhari, alleges harassment by EFCC politically motivated. Agbekoya threatens to free Igboho through traditional means. Courtroom crowded as Ogun teenage killers arraigned, remanded. Reps subsidy. Refineries repairs panel may invite NNPC marketers. Ohaneze inaugurates lobby panel, restates Igbo presidency benefits. Okay. Which story are we taking a punch? Let's start with the Kwara Baptist hijab. What happened?
So yesterday, around 8 a.m., some students were protesting the discrimination against hijab-wearing students in Oyo Baptist High School Ijagbo in Oyo local government yesterday, and unknown gunmen attacked them, unleashed terror on them, and one of them is suspected to be dead now. His name is Abin Mustafa. And of course, as expected, the government has reacted. They've shut down the school. The State Commissioner for Education and Human Rights Capital Development, Sadatu Modibo Kawu, says that the government is totally frowning against this, that, you know, the government unreservedly condemns the flagrant discrimination against anyone, any students, on grounds of religious differences or such discrimination in any school, and it will not be tolerated by government within their state in public institutions. I think that this is the right thing to do. They should find a way to resolve this matter so that this does not continue subsequently. This is the second of such attacks within schools in Kwara State, and the state government has continuously said that they have unreserved right to coexist and use the hijab.
So the government have said that. So why were these guys protesting? Was that school saying that the children shouldn't come in hijab?
The school is insisting that they are a Baptist school, but this is a government-owned public facility within the school. We know colonial schools that were taken over had their history, but government now owns those schools and they must be allowed to govern the state.
Okay. Any other
Police,
story?
yes, arrested 33 suspected criminals, including members of different kidnapping, gang, terrorism, motorists and travelers on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. So the suspected kidnappers were arrested by men of the Oyo State Police Command, and that included those that were operating at the Onigari section of the expressway. They said some wedding guests were recently abducted. So they mentioned the names of some of the people: Aliu Umaru, Isiaka Ibrahim, and Tambaya Usman. According to the police, they said they got an intelligence report that led them to, get all of these people. And they also arrested one of the suspects, which is Bashiru Abubakar, alias Maku Maku. He said he's a member of the gang terrorizing the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, especially the one that happened on January 14th around 3:30 p.m. So while he was confessing, he mentioned other names: Babuga Umaru, Belel, one Ibrahim, one Buyo, Habu Kosoko, alias On Top, and one Danliti. And, investigations are ongoing on how to get those ones. And he confessed that he's the one that supplies the criminals food and drugs in the bushes. So he's been taken into custody, and hopefully they will fish out the other people.
Yeah, so the former governor of Imo State and presidential aspirant Rochas Okorocha went to see the president yesterday, and after his meeting, he was responding to reporters, and he said that he visited the president. Okay, so first of all, we know that a few days after he said he will be running for office, they said the EFCC came after him for an alleged sum of, for fraud, misappropriation. And so he has said that he has come to see the president not because he's asking the EFCC to back off because he's guilty, but that EFCC, that the person that has instigated this investigation is definitely one politically motivated, and this person is a coward that does not want to be exposed, and that EFCC had one time claimed they recovered the sum of 5.9 billion from his account, which the court has found untrue. And so his visit to the president is to make sure that the office of the presidency makes EFCC follow the law. That because the EFCC was created by the law, and so they must follow the law when it comes to issues like this, and they have no rights right now to investigate him if it's not for political reasons. And he just said a lot of things. So I agree with him if this is if this visit is about there's the way the law should follow when it comes to investigation like that. That is true, and not asking to back off because of who he is. But if he's found guilty, if there is any reason for EFCC to investigate him, then he should allow himself to be investigated, and then he should prove himself in court.
So remember the boys that were arrested for killing their girlfriend? I don't know if you recall that story. The case has started at the magistrate court in Isabu, Ogun State on Thursday. The 4 teenagers who killed and murdered a young girl, Sophia, a 20-year-old girl, who was one of them's girlfriends, has been remanded in prison. The defendants, Balogun, Mustadin, Majakodumi, Soliuddin, Abdulgafar, Lukman, and Waris Oladende, 18 years old. These are 18, 19-year-old kids. So they actually allegedly severed the head of Kehinde and burnt it in a pot for ritual.
Oh.
And they have been arraigned in court, and we continue to follow that story because it was quite crowded. There were a lot of people in the courtroom that morning, but we're happy that the case has started, and hopefully this girl will get justice. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll move on to other things. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
At TVC Communications, we're all about our audience. Millions of viewers, listeners, and readers every day all around Nigeria.
Our 2 TV stations are among the most watched in Nigeria.
TVC News is our award-winning 24-hour national and international news channel headquartered here in Lagos, broadcasting live from our custom-built state-of-the-art news headquarters.
TVC, the top-rated family entertainment channel, is the place for fun, music, and information. With our breakfast show, Wake Up Nigeria, the all-female chat show, Your View, the best soaps and dramas from Nolly, Bolly, and Hollywood, music and entertainment blast, courtesy E-Flash, and of course, award-winning news and current affairs. It is all here.
With news bureau and studios around the country and the ability to go live anywhere, anytime, we are first for breaking news in Nigeria. Awarded the NMMA TV Station of the Year, TVC News is the station of choice for news that is first, accurate, balanced, and reliable every time. TVC and TVC News watched by over 4.5 million people in Nigeria every day on terrestrial, DTH, DTT, OTT, and available to viewers in the UK on Sky TV. Watch all of our world-class programs on TV, online, and on our app. TVC and TVC News, the best entertainment and news for Nigeria on TV and online.
And when you can't watch us, listen to us. 102.3 Max FM Lagos and 90.9 Max FM Abuja are now ranked among the most listened to radio stations in Nigeria.
Now, with over 1.5 million listeners every day, we're the people's favorite radio station. Best hit music, best on-air talent. Max 102.3 hit music for Lagos and Max 90.9 hit music for Abuja. We are your home for that fun, entertainment, and hit music.
In Lagos, TVC, our leading family entertainment TV channel, has a 47% market share. But this is just the start of our journey, as we plan to add even more services to entertain and inform our ever-growing audience. Thanks for being part of the TVC communications story.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked, and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move weigh in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty, erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Arrest 45. 2023 Igbo presidency will save Nigeria, says Ohaneze. Sukuk Akpabio secures over 10 billion naira for East-West Road. 3 feared dead, others missing as FPSO's vessel explodes in Delta waterways. We are open to peaceful negotiations with federal government and other nationalities, says IPOB. Nigeria UK threatens security defense partnership. Okay.
Okay, let me quickly take Akpabio.
Go ahead.
The Minister for Nigeria Data Affairs has received, not secured, received 10.4 billion of the 2021 Sukuk sovereign foreign funds. Issuance that was released from the Minister for Finance. So they are entitled under the Nigeria Delta to about 35 billion of that amount, and 10.4 billion has been issued. They have a balance of 25 billion. This is supposed to help with the East-West route, and the Nigeria Delta Ministry is also expected to raise a certain amount of financing for that road as well.
Yes, so the federal government and the United Kingdom are saying that they are strengthening their security defense partnership in order to fight terrorism and build regional security. So the agreement was reached during the first UK-Nigeria Security and Defense Partnership Dialogue in London. According to the British High Commission, he said these new commitments that they made is going to be like the first ever UK-Nigeria Security and Defense Partnership, and they are going to be working to tackle shared threats and keep both British and Nigerian people safe. He also said that it includes commitment to work together to improve civil policing standards, protect human rights, and recognize the importance and role of women in achieving sustainable peace. They also mentioned that they are going to be supporting Nigeria fight terrorist groups like ISWAP and Boko Haram, and Nigeria and the UK have, gone a long way in terms of history. This is the time that we begin to build alliances on how we can fight some of these crimes.
So IPOB is saying that through their Obesity Secretary, Emma Powerful, that they are open to peaceful negotiations with the federal government and other nationalities, because ISWAP, according to them, is a peaceful organization. So before we enter into any peaceful engagement with Nigeria, Nigeria must show us that it is favorable and disposed towards peace. We are ready for peace if they need our peace, because IPOB is a peaceful, non-violent movement. Our doors are open for meaningful and sincere peaceful engagement with other nationalities in Nigeria and even the federal government if they are ready for peace. So that's good to know. Yeah. And we hope that indeed that they can have peaceful conversations and negotiation on this. We're going to take the one more story.
Yes, I was going to take the sad occurrence that happened yesterday. So a floating production, storage and offloading FPSO facility. It's an offshore facility, I think, for oil excavation. So they said it exploded and sank yesterday. The CEO of Sepcor, that's the company in charge of it, has said that, have confirmed this accident, and they said that even though no fatalities have been reported, they can confirm that they had 10 members of their crew on that facility, and that they're doing everything to just contain it, and investigation is going on right now with the safety of those crew members in mind. Some people say 13. The CEO is saying that there were 10 of them. So it's really sad. But we know it also made the news, apart from the people that have lost who were in this incident. Also, the production, of 22,000 barrels per day that we do every day has been put on hold because of this incident. And so,
the loss in a lot of ways. The environmental implication of that explosion yesterday for me is worrisome. And now you've added the lives of people that might be on the facility.
Okay, Vanguard terrorism, I saw poised to take over Nigeria, Zulum warns. Somebody started the encounter story. I was kidnapped, trafficked for sex in 4 countries. Power sharing, social injustice frustrating Nigeria's development. Nigeria needs urgent measures to address high fertility rates, Buhari. Court restrains Lagos government from demolishing Ekpe houses. We supply food, drinks to kidnappers on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and 30 crew members missing as oil production vessel explodes. Okay,
let me quickly take the court restraining Lagos State government. So, a Lagos High Court yesterday, sitting in Ekpe, has restrained the officials of Lagos State government and Lagos State government from continuing to demolish properties of the Edu family descendants along the Lekki Expressway. So this family had sued Lagos State government to court over some of their property lands reclaimed by the government and subsequent demolition of their properties. And according to the judge, Justice S.A. Olaiton, he says, I noticed that I observed the court is congested with people carrying placards and protesting over the demolition of their houses by the Lagos State government and its agencies. And so he is ordered that status quo remains and is maintained till this matter is seen to the end before the government can decide to start to enforce such demolition. I think this is the right way to go.
Yeah, so, okay, go ahead.
So, this is a story of a young girl. On the 11th of June 2021, she was abducted. She had left school, and this is in Benin, Edo State. She was going home. She stopped the taxi. She got in. The taxi were 2 other girls and the driver and another man. And she said she thought everything was fine until wherever they were going, he started taking the wrong directions. And when she dared to ask, she was warned not to speak or she would be killed. Anyway, her journey took her from Cotonou to Mali, where it was really that they had kidnapped her to use her for sex. And she was moved from one place to the other, forcefully, raped. And in the end, eventually she was able to escape by divine, she said she woke up one day and just somehow she saw a light and she was able to escape. And she called her mom, who used Google Map and everything, and located where she was in Burkina Faso. She was picked up from there and she was brought home. And when she came home, of course, went to the hospital, found that she was pregnant, and she was pregnant with twins. And during her, while she was there, she lost the babies, sadly as well. And she says, even though now she's escaped that ordeal, somehow these kidnappers are still trying to lure her in. So the conversation is really about what is going on in that part of our country. There are people still, till today, luring girls into telling them that there are jobs in other countries, kidnapping girls for things like this. Just
really, really
young girl, very sad.
My auntie actually got a help this year, and she called me. The girl said that she just realized a girl who still started work was saying that she was kidnapped from Ghana. Lagos, she was in Nigeria, and they were en route to a different country. So she was asking my auntie to help her escape. They tried to just get some money, to earn some money. So they took her there, hoping to earn some money for a few months. And then
they continued their journey.
Wow. Imagine that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Please, I have a quick story here. Yeah, so the president spoke at the launch of the revised National Policy on Population for Sustainable Development, inaugurated the National Council on Population Management. They're talking about how to manage our population, and the president is stressing the need for urgent measures to address Nigeria's high fertility rate through expanding access to modern contraceptive methods across the country. So they've realized that we are burning plenty, and the population is 72% of our population are the youths. Most of them are below 30 years, while half of the population are the females, and they are in their reproductive years from 15 to 48 years. So they're trying to devise methods of counseling, talking to people that we need to try as much as possible not to burn plenty, because it's going to be have an adverse effect on how we are reproducing. We know the issues at hand. We do not have enough money to cater for everybody. I think this advice should be focused strictly on men.
Did you even tell this guy, that
made the rounds
that man, Al-Hassan Ado Dogua, who said he had 28 children. They should start with him. So once they, in fact, President should call him.
It's too late with him. He has already had
but he should be able to be championing the cause. You should call him to champion the cause. But no, who else?
Are the ones who are supposed to.
Reminds me of a story that made the rounds on social media yesterday. 26-year-old boy that did a vasectomy. And put it up and said, I really don't want kids. And
oh my God, I felt bad.
Anyway,
Nigerian Tribune FJ links 123 companies, 3 bureaux de change to ISWAP and Boko Haram. Okorocha reports EFCC to Buhari over harassment. 1 feared killed in protest over use of hijab in school. APC convention Boni committee finally writes INEC on February 26th to date. And kidnapping police bust 12-man gang terrorizing travelers on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. I think we're taking most of the stories in tribute. One story that caught my attention, The Guardian, is the top man, CNN, who had to resign because of the sexual relationship he had with a colleague. So CNN's ethical challenge that brought down its president. It's a big story in The Guardian, and I thought it was quite interesting. So because he was also the boss when Chris Cuomo had to resign, because what happened with his brother, who was the governor, and all the sexual harassment allegations. Now, the boss, the top man himself, was actually in a relationship with another correspondent. I think she's the vice president, Gulost, according to the papers. They practically started working in CNN in the early days, and they were working together for 20 years. And they didn't have a romantic relationship until fairly recently. And then when it was found, he actually sent a mail and chose to resign. That's because of the company policy.
Yeah.
And that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
To how the CEO, the top man says, you know, because I'm in love with Mariam.
I gotta resign.
I gotta resign.
No, it was because he was caught. He came out in the investigation.
Now, well,
story well.
The beautiful, the nice part of it is that I sent a mail out acknowledging that I had goofed. You know, some of these things, they're very Oyibo-ish because it doesn't sound very Nigerian.
Well, it's something to emulate.
We don't resign. Yes, we don't resign here.
Well, if you have a policy and you are found short, whoever you are, you should resign.
There could be an argument that as long as it's not affecting your job.
Yeah.
So, for example, there are certain companies that if you're in different departments, so you're the CEO and she is in maybe marketing or something, it doesn't even affect your work. It doesn't make it right. But different company policies have different.
I get it. But we're saying that when you do it in small companies, like, it reflects on your country as a whole. So when you ask for some people to resign, you say in the companies they don't resign because their work still counts, then at the top in government too, don't ask for them to resign when they don't do what they're meant to do.
All right, let's go to break. When we come back, we move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
At TVC Communications, we're all about our audience. Millions of viewers, listeners, and readers every day all around Nigeria.
Our 2 TV stations are among the most watched in Nigeria.
TVC News is our award-winning 24-hour national and international news channel headquartered here in Lagos, broadcasting live from our custom-built state-of-the-art news headquarters.
TVC, the top-rated family entertainment channel, is the place for fun, music, and information. With our breakfast show, Wake Up Nigeria, the all-female chat show, Your View, the best soaps and dramas from Nolly, Bali, and Hollywood, music and entertainment blast, courtesy E-Splash, and of course, award-winning news and current affairs. It is all here.
With news bureau and studios around the country and the ability to go live anywhere, anytime, we are first for breaking news in Nigeria. Awarded the NMMA TV Station of the Year, TVC News is the station of choice for news that is first, accurate, balanced, and reliable every time. TVC and TVC News watched by over 4.5 million people in Nigeria every day on terrestrial, DTH, DTT, OTT, and available to viewers in the UK on Sky TV. Watch all of our world-class programs on TV, online, and on our app. TVC and TVC News, the best entertainment and news for Nigeria on TV and online.
And when you can't watch us, listen to us. 102.3 Max FM Lagos and 90.9 Max FM Abuja are now ranked among the most listened to radio stations in Nigeria.
Now, with over 1.5 million listeners every day, we're the people's favorite radio station. Best hit music, best on-air talent. Max 102.3 hit music for Lagos and Max 90.9 hit music for Abuja. We are your home for that fun, entertainment, and hit music.
In Lagos, TVC, our leading family entertainment TV channel, has a 47% market share. But this is just the start of our journey as we plan to add even more services to entertain and inform our ever-growing audience. Thanks for being part of the TVC communication story.
Come closer. A little bit more. Perfect. I have exciting news for you. You asked for it and you got it. Your favorite breakfast show, Your View, will be going to 2 hours. We're going to have in-depth analysis of the newspaper review and more conversations on the hot topics. The ladies of Your View and I will be stirring up our guests to get an in-depth into all the various topics, and you, our viewers, will have the opportunity to call in and share your views. After all, it's Your View. Join us on Your View, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for a fantastic conversation. Don't miss it.
How we're doing, guys? Is the makeup in progress? Makeup check.
Thanks for staying with us. So, Our first hot topic today is about this issue that was raised in the newspapers that we just read, birth control pills. Is it the right thing to do at this time? I mean, BC read the story, which I thought was interesting, that the government is considering that we should find measures to control our population. But people like Nima have said, you know, and she said it repeatedly over the years that, listen, you can't be counting kids for me. I mean, it's not my children. But should we now come and have a conversation around the need, especially that lawmaker? Let me read his name again, just in case we've forgotten. His name is, he's actually majority leader of the House of Representatives, Al-Hassan Adogudawa, delivered of the 28th child recently. And he was actually talking about it, and it's important we discuss these things. Is how to remarry culture and what is economically expedient for a country to do. So that's really the conversation. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Should we start? Would you agree if the government says you can't have more than 2 children? Would you accept to have just 2 children?
Or 1.
If that is going to be the right thing to do or the necessary thing to do to help control the population? That's really the conversation. Let's hear your thoughts. You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also tweet to us on TVC, your view, #TVC, and also, on all the various messages on your screen. Yeah. So, you see what you want to start?
Yeah, okay, I was laughing because I was saying the Nigerian way. They'll tell you have 2 children, then they will go ahead and have 5 and 10, and you will be holding placard like, you told us to have 2. How come these government officials are having 5? Anyways, we need to look at our population and how fast it's growing, and the fact that our population is growing. You know, the population vis-a-vis our economic issues right now, economic security, you know, and just the inefficiencies of our government, because they seem to be finding it really difficult to manage this population given our limited resources. But whatever the impact will be, whatever the positive impact will be on the economy would not be in 5 or 10 years. We're talking many years down the line. So many people have already given birth. The gentleman in question has given birth to 28, so we have to find a way to make sure he does not give birth to the remaining 2 that he's looking towards. But as a country, we need to tell ourselves the truth. We have very limited resources, and we need to make sure that every child gets a good education, good housing, good healthcare, and the number of people we have in our country, the more we have, the less we'll be able to cater for them. That's on the one hand. The second hand is, how do we do it? We always, whenever we talk about contraception, family planning, we focus on the women. But I think if we really are serious about stopping just multiple births, we have to talk to the men. We have to start talking about male contraception. We have to start talking about male family planning. We're talking about vasectomy. We're talking about maybe like a policy. If you have more than 5 children, you cannot run for office. If you have more than 3 children, you cannot run for office. If you have more than, you will not get. So maybe if we put it that way, because just to tell women, don't use contraception, we know of women who know how important this is. Even for their health reasons, they don't want to have more kids. But they have husbands that are saying, if I hear, do you understand? So if you put it now on the man, and I'm saying that I'm highlighting the fact that a man can decide for a woman in Nigeria whether she should have more or less, is because the way dynamics of marriage works for majority of marriages in Nigeria is that the man is the breadwinner, the man determines, you know, everything. So it pays for everything.
Let me come to BC on this, because, I mean, she's raised quite a few issues there, not just about us facing the reality of the situation, that we are overpopulated, but how do we go about it? Someone saying we should do vasectomy, someone saying that we should focus more on the men. What are your thoughts on this? Do you agree?
So, you know, she's just highlighted the economic aspect, and that is exactly what the government is looking at. We have a teeming population of young people. Over 70% are basically young people, women, young girls. within, reproductive age, according to statistics, and that is really worrisome because any bakambele can enter and you just be popping it. But I want to look at it from the emotional and psychological aspect, which a lot of us ignore most of the time. I always worry, first of all, that people just churn out kids without thinking of how to guide them emotionally, how to nurture them emotionally, which is what is missing with majority of Nigerians. We do not have empathy because we did not learn empathy from our parents. It's just a few people are becoming aware now, that are now learning how to pay attention to the needs of other people. It's just about me, and that's the Nigerian mentality. That's what we see in our parastatals, that's what we see in government, that's what we see in leadership, it cuts across every sphere of life.
Even in driving,
in this country. So are you churning out these kids? Because let's talk about the elites, for instance. They have the money to take care of them and put them in best schools. But do they have the time to give them that emotional needs that these children require to nurture them? Aside from the elites, now let's go to the, the general people. You're churning out only you. You have 4, 5, 6 kids, and you're struggling to feed them. You're struggling to pay your rent. You're struggling to put them in good schools. And before you know it, at 15, 16, you're expecting your children to go out there and bring men that will give them cars, that will buy houses for them, that will do this for them, because you have failed in your responsibility as a parent to nurture these children till they get to adulthood. So it cuts across everything, and we have crime on one hand because there are a lot of children who feel like their parents cannot take care of them. They have to start funding for themselves. I had a student in the university at the time who was learning. Thankfully, she was making hair, and she was sending money home. I think she was about 16 or 17 at the time. She had the responsibility as a child to still be fending for her parents back home. So it's not about just churning kids. What sort of mindset do you have that you can just pop, because you are fertile, you can just pop it out and God will take care of them. God will handle them. We need to start working on that. When it comes to the population, I believe that we could have policies. I believe that we could actually have policies. I think one of these countries did it.
China did it.
Anything can work when we are ready for it to work. Simple.
Okay, let me come to Nima. Nima, what are your thoughts? Do you because I know that, culturally, yes, we want to uphold our culture and our belief system, but the truth is that, how do we marry? How do we marry culture, and what is required as a country?
So I spoke recently, I think last year, 2020, at an event. A law firm organizes this event. It was huge. Myself, Abike Dabiri, and the UN representative in Africa. And I did not speak in support of just irresponsibly bringing children. So I cannot sit here and be African now. But the truth is, no, but in Africa, truly. And because those days, parents planned for their children. It was, modernization that brought about, and because of that cultural belief, you see government over the years reflect what we believe. Government never planned along the numbers. We just had the numbers. If you had serious governments planning along the numbers, all the census that they were doing, the birth registrations that they were having, if they counted for anything, we would be better off today. Every government subsequently never planned along the numbers. So we have numbers up north, underutilized, that that presently being taken advantage of by every form of criminality that we can excuse. We call them different names, terrorism and all of that. And there are large numbers that we didn't work with. If we had worked with them, probably we'll be where other countries are. That strength of our numbers will show. In, aside the marketability that people see in them and bringing stuff here, we'll be able to produce with that number and send out. So I'm not in support of birthing children anyhow, but in the situation where a person caters for their children from birth till death on their own, do you then want to regulate what you don't control? Our public schools, governments, they just have schools, they don't have the numbers, they don't know what they're doing with them. If I'm a rich person, I'm an MK or Abiola, and I have 4 wives, of course I'm going to have children, and I have provided for those children till I die, till when they get to adulthood. So how do you want to regulate what you don't control, what you don't work with, what does not really bother you when you're sitting on the decision table? If you make policies today, just like Miriam said, the policy makers are the ones who break the rules. They'll say, no, 2 children only, but they have 5 children, and then you start to see exceptions and exceptions and exceptions. So I'm not...
I think most of the big nations of the world they work with numbers. China,
Yes.
the US. So population could actually work in our favor.
Yes.
The problem is that we don't
Exactly.
have the economic strength and
Readiness.
to show it or to even reflect to use or utilize these numbers that we have. But my question to you ladies, and I'll take this after the break. If your husband says he wants to have a vasectomy, would you allow him?
After we've had children.
As
when
in
we
right
come
now?
back.
Yes, right now.
When we come back, answer.
We don't finish now.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, you want born again? We don't born finish now.
Oh, okay. I didn't think it was that easy.
It's so easy.
Let's go on a break. We'll be right
But you
back.
should ask the men.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Say, you don't get eyes on everything for us. I won't park my car. Take care of your father's car. Parola. You! I bet.
At TVC Communications, we're all about our audience. Millions of viewers, listeners, and readers every day all around Nigeria.
Our 2 TV stations are among the most watched in Nigeria.
TVC News is our award-winning 24-hour national and international news channel headquartered here in Lagos, broadcasting live from our custom-built state-of-the-art news headquarters.
TVC, the top-rated family entertainment channel, is the place for fun, music, and information. With our breakfast show, Wake Up Nigeria, the all-female chat show, Your View, the best soaps and dramas from Nolly, Bolly, and Hollywood, music and entertainment blast, courtesy eFlash, and of course, award-winning news and current affairs. It is all here.
With news bureau and studios around the country and the ability to go live anywhere, anytime, we are first for breaking news in Nigeria. Awarded the NMMA TV Station of the Year, TVC News is the station of choice for news that is first, accurate, balanced, and reliable every time. TVC and TVC News watched by over 4.5 million people in Nigeria every day on terrestrial, DTH, DTT, OTT, and available to viewers in the UK on Sky TV. Watch all of our world-class programs on TV, online, and on our app. TVC and TVC News, the best entertainment and news for Nigeria on TV and online.
And when you can't watch us, listen to us.
For staying with us, we're still discussing this issue of birth control, but not from the side of the women. But there's a young man yesterday or 2 days ago put it online that he just had a vasectomy, that he doesn't plan to have children. And we're linking that to what the President Buhari was saying, that we must consider this issue of reducing population. We want to focus on this issue of vasectomy. If a husband, and I will ask the ladies for the break that, if now you've had your kids, and your husband says, okay, let me support Buhari, let me just be part of this movement. And all the men are saying, okay, let's all get a vasectomy, just to encourage men that, listen, we must stop this exponential growth of our population. Nima, would you allow your husband to go for that procedure?
Okay, I'm not disallowing him, but I would not encourage him.
Okay.
So if any of such was to be done, it will be done free will.
Right.
If he chooses that, okay, this is the decision I'm taking for myself, and he knows the consequence, for him is okay. I would love, if I wanted to put a stop to childbirth, do it on myself. Everybody's right to the decision on their body or procedures done on their body is theirs, as long as they are sane and conscious. So if it is his decision, I would not stop him if I am done having children. And if it is my decision when I'm done having children, I would not like him to interfere in it, whatever the reasons are for me. So I won't stop him, but I would not disallow him if he approve of him.
Semantics.
No, I would. You know, some women will say, "Okay, we're done having children, but I don't want to touch my body, so you go do something." No, I won't do that. Okay. I won't instruct and say it has to be you. Once I am done having children, I say to my husband, I think I've had enough children and I want to keep my body healthy. Because what is Islamic is that my health. That's the basis.
But there's a Nigerian or African way, like, listen, we can never know these things. May we never have any bad accident and that happen. Yes, today we have 5 children, but God forbid something happens. You know, somebody travels and God forbid the whole family is wiped out. I feel like, oh my goodness, I've tied my tubes, I've removed my ovaries, I've had a vasectomy, I can't have any more children. Life happens to people, and that's the fear people have in not taking this kind of decisions.
So we had a relative back in one of these eastern states. And then I think the husband at the time was working in this big oil company. I think it was Shell or Chevron. I'm not sure right now. They had 4 kids. And the man was still asking the woman was still asking to have 2 more to make it 6. They had money. So she just felt, I want to have these children. The man said, lie. In fact, the 4th one said was a battle. He wanted to take it out. The woman said, it's against my faith. I can't take it out. And so after how many years, this airline, Soliso crash,
I remember that story,
now took 2 of the kids. And it was remaining 2. And the man now came back. Then the lady was way in her 50s. Now said, can we try? I wish you had, you know. And then it was a battle. She said, lie, I begged you. I said I wanted extra. You said no. Now we are going to manage this too. And it became a real family issue. The man was vexing. You have to. He said, no, at my age, I can't even do that anymore. So, but the thing is, when this sort of thing happens, what will happen will happen. What if you had the 6 and all the 6 traveled at the same time and it happened? Yeah. So you have had the children, just move on.
So there's also something about children is that a child does not replace a child. A child, an individual child is an individual. No other child can replace a child. In fact, what you just said reminded me of a story I read on the toilet seat this morning. A lady who, her first pregnancy, she had 8 babies. She was pregnant with 8 babies.
At once.
But she lost them in her 26th week of pregnancy. And they said even though she went ahead, the story came out because she had just passed on from cancer in her 50s. They said even though she went on to have 3 more children, she was just never the same woman. She said she spent about an hour or so just watching as each child came out stillborn. Each child came out, and that thing affected her for the rest of her life. You cannot replace a child for a child. So to say that have so much so that when something happens to you, that child is an individual, nothing can replace it. So that's a different, you know, it's a different conversation altogether. It's important that, you know, loss, this story, for me, this is more about losses. We have, for me, the policies or the conversations really should be about strengthening this economy, our country, so that these children that we bring in, this country can take them. They can be a positive. They can be a positive What's the word I'm looking for? Yes.
Productive in
yes,
society.
productive in society. When we talk about, the reason why we talk about Nigerian population in such a way that we talk about it like negatively is because when they come, when we have these children, they're doing nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
They're idle. There's nothing that they're doing. But if we say that, if we look at the countries, if we say that most of our young children in this age, they're all in IT and they're doing something, or they're all in manufacturing, or they're all in, producing one thing or the other, we will not be talking about the negative effect of population. We'll be talking about how it is enriching our economy.
Let me take Dr. Moyo. Dr. Moyo, are you there?
Happy weekend.
Happy weekend to you too.
Yes, I think this issue of birth control borders on culture. You are trying to touch culture, which is a very difficult issue in Africa. So I think health education and enlightenment will go a long way in curbing children. For example, my grandfather had 30 children. That's my maternal grandfather. The same thing too with my paternal grandfather. He had about 20-something children. So, and in those kind of cultures, they felt that the more number of children you have, that's what you show that you're a man. That was what their ego bright is then. But so now that kind of person, a child from that kind of environment, you need a lot of education and enlightenment to convince him that this thing, it's for economic reasons and for health reasons too, on the woman. Have a nice day, man.
Thank you, Dr. Moyo.
So I wanted to say that, to deal with the loss of children is not something that you generally feel the same way. It's peculiar. For some people, the replacement of the loss helps.
Yeah.
For me, when it happened to me, I thought it was something I could not deal with. But today, every time I see the next baby, it's only when I'm giving advice or in a very worst moment that I remember the loss of that child that I didn't have. So for some people, that replacement works. For some, it's easy. But there's this saying, just like Dr. Moyo said in Africa, in my own place, they say, oh, yeah, rebu. When a person has a secondary infertility, and the person is yearning for a child, when that child comes, most of the time in my place in Auchi, they'll say, oh, you're able to give that child. We need children to remain, to keep the lineage. So it's beyond economics. That's why government must reflect the society. You must reflect the way people think. Our government have failed over the years to turn these numbers that our fathers... In the old days, when our ancestors, let me even go far because it's far down, I started to have plenty of children. In my own family, if you hear... They were kidnapping children. And so people started to make sure that this lineage would not be wiped out by the things that were existing at the time. And then later it became the trend of farming. You needed your own children to map your territories. Yeah. When your child grows up, you send your child to one side of the farm to start a family and to keep. So we're growing, we're evolving, picking laws and picking policies from Europe to come and reflect Africa. And that's the clash that we have today. If we had worked with the numbers that we had and the way we were having those numbers, the strength of our region at the time, the farming strength, probably by now we'll have those complex products that Professor Magalu talks about.
For this topic. Good morning, Boma. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. You're live. Boma, go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Very clearly.
Okay. So I'm a first-time caller. I'm calling
Welcome to the show.
So the issue of overpopulation, we cannot underestimate it. The problem with population in this country first is religion. Parents give birth to children that they cannot take care of.
Yes.
Hello? I said the issue of overpopulation is tied to religion. Parents give birth to children that they cannot take care of, and they will say God will take care of them. In Abuja, where I live, you go to the market, you see all these boys, young boys from different parts of the north. They don't have any job. They are just carrying barrow, and they feed by carrying barrow. Nobody is caring for them. Some of them live on uncompleted buildings. Some of them live on the road, and they are living at the mercy of other people. So when we put away this culture of religion, God will take care of us and plan our family. It will be better for the country.
Fantastic. Thank you. We're going to go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation because I remember even the beggars on the streets, they're constantly pregnant. They're constantly having children. They always just have babies, and that is part of the problem. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
At TVC Communications, we're all about our audience. Millions of viewers, listeners, and readers every day all around Nigeria.
Our 2 TV stations are among the most watched in Nigeria.
TVC News is our award-winning 24-hour national and international news channel headquartered here in Lagos, broadcasting live from our custom-built state-of-the-art news headquarters.
TVC, the top-rated family entertainment channel, is the place for fun, music, and information. With our breakfast show, Wake Up Nigeria, the all-female chat show, Your View, the best soaps and dramas from Nolly, Bali, and Hollywood, music and entertainment blast, courtesy E-Splash, and of course, award-winning news and current affairs. It is all here.
With news bureau and studios around the country and the ability to go live anywhere, anytime, we are first for breaking news in Nigeria. Awarded the NMMA TV Station of the Year, TVC News is the station of choice for news that is first, accurate, balanced, and reliable every time. TVC and TVC News watched by over 4.5 million people in Nigeria every day on terrestrial, DTH, DTT, OTT, and available to viewers in the UK on Sky TV. Watch all of our world-class programs on TV, online, and on our app. TVC and TVC News, the best entertainment and news for Nigeria on TV and online.
And when you can't watch us, listen to us. 102.3 Max FM Lagos and 90.9 Max FM Abuja are now ranked among the most listened to radio stations in Nigeria.
Now, with over 1.5 million listeners every day, we're the people's favorite radio station. Best hit music, best on-air talent. Max 102.3 hit music for Lagos and Max 90.9 hit music for Abuja. We are your home for that fun, entertainment, and hit music.
In Lagos, TVC, our leading family entertainment TV channel, has a 47% market share. But this is just the start of our journey, as we plan to add even more services to entertain and inform our ever-growing audience. Thanks for being part of the TVC communications story.
Come closer. A little bit more. Perfect. I have exciting news for you. You asked for it and you got it. Your favorite breakfast show, Your View, will be going to 2 hours. We're going to have in-depth analysis of the newspaper review and more conversations on the hot topics. The ladies of Your View and I will be stirring up our guests to get an in-depth into all the various topics, and you, our viewers, will have the opportunity to call in and share your views. After all, it's Your View. Join us on Your View, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for a fantastic conversation. Don't miss it.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked, and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still talking about how you hold yourself. Some of us are culprits on this table because we have more than the average amount. But how do we take this issue of controlling our population seriously? Not on the part of government, we the people, ourselves.
Yes. So I think we first of all have to take responsibility. So while I'll come back to the government a bit because they have a larger role to play, if you know that your capacities can give you so number of children, have that number of children and ensure that you take care of them. That's where the responsibility comes in. But if you look at it in the global scale, most of these top economies like China, Russia, Japan, India, Brazil, they have huge populations that they have been able to use for their own benefit. So they found ways to use the strength that they have for their economy. Imagine if the 70% of youths they were talking about, 40% were billionaires in this country. Imagine the sort of economy that we will be building. But because we have not been able to use the strength that we have, we see it as a problem. So this is where the individual person will now look and say, okay, I'm in the middle class, I'm earning so and so. If I look at the systems that the government has provided, quality education, quality healthcare, good roads and this, I think with my salary and other things that I'm doing, I may be able to raise 3 children. And you focus on that 3. Then we now start looking at those ones on the streets who are just churning out children to re-educate them on the need to have as much as they can cater for, and also find a way, because most of these people use that as a form of entertainment. You know, when you don't have money, that thing is just will be hungering you all the time, because that's the only way. Yeah, for the big men, you can afford to go to clubs, you can afford to take trips, you can afford to do any form of entertainment that you can. But for a very poor man who is just
that's the only
managing,
entertainment.
That's the only entertainment.
You're kidding me.
If you just catch somebody, you can just have it a few minutes and you're good. So we now find a way to channel that drive for entertainment to something else, make them a bit more productive so that they have less time to think about just
Let me take this call from
children.
Ireland. Tokwe, are you there? Or Dupe? Hello?
Hello?
Good morning, you're live.
Good morning, Mariah. Good morning, Aliva, compared the entire crew. I'm calling for the first time, even though I've tried.
Welcome to the show.
Well done, Josh. Well done. You're really doing great.
Thank you.
The topic this morning is a very sensitive topic. Even many people will not know it's sensitive. It's good to be able to take care of the children you have. Monitor and train the children. But what about God is the only one that gives children? You must remember, some people are looking for the fruit of the womb, and they never got it. Believe me, I don't know why this program is coming today. But you see, in my early life, I've got 2 boys. And I thought, no, they're okay. 2 boys is okay for me. I'm okay. I can't take more than that because I need to have the children I can take care of. But ladies, when the second one clocked 7, minor sickness then in Nigeria, he died. I'm left with 1. Then I told God I don't want children again. What if I have removed my womb then or I've done something drastic? Then it took about years again before I could get another child actually. Believe me, it is the death of that boy that took me away from Nigeria. Just to relocate. And I'm here now abroad for over 23 years. Just to relocate for a few months. But thank God, after that boy now, I've got twins. And in my late 40s, I have another boy again.
Wow.
Which is 11 years old now. Twins are 22. But believe me, this program, today, that boy that died, today's supposed to be his birthday. It's supposed to be birthday 1 today. But as a mother, I feel feeling, even though I've got 3 children after that. I still miss him. I still wishing somebody is going to, some people supposed to be calling me today. So happy birthday, happy birthday. To him. Everybody's calling me. But I remember I had a child today 4 years ago.
What was his name?
So, only God knows.
What was his
name? Miriam asked what was his name.
Assist us. Hello?
Miriam was asking what was his name.
Pardon?
Miriam asked what was his name.
The name of the child.
I'm sorry, it's raining everything.
It's okay. Well, thank you so much, Dupe, for calling. We appreciate your call. Happy birthday to your late son. I mean, that's what I wanted to say. Really touching.
But you see, for people work differently. So for her, even with the birth of the other children, she couldn't be on the birthday. So
7 years old.
But it would have been worse if she didn't have more. You know, she said that, you know,
maybe she had
because
taken out
said
her womb
she was done. But Dolakwa had sent something to our WhatsApp group about countries that are doing, that have huge population that are doing well. He said the US, China, Russia, Japan, India, and Brazil. India, yes. India. I wanted to pick India out of the group.
I mean India.
So India was like us. They didn't plan with their numbers for a long time. And so they had a huge population, and they were in the indices of what's most poverty, whatever country, what's most kinikon, whatever country. And you saw their government start up. They turned that narrative around to positive, and they have what they're doing with their population right now. They are the world's destination for medicine, for medical hospitality. They are the world's destination for vaccines. Even all of us were waiting for them to donate vaccine during the COVID. They've turned that number around. We can do the same. Yes. We have a culture where children mean a lot. In Europe, some countries, even the people by their ways of life, don't want too many children. They don't want to be shouting, sit down, stand up. They don't want it. But for us here, it's a lonely life for a mother if they don't have children. Most people here don't accept the fact that they can't have children. Yesterday, when we read about the young man who did vasectomy on himself, it sounded strange. Some of us a DTD. We believe that he's under a spell. He's not looking normal. It's not in our ways of life. We love the population. Our government must learn to proud with that number. Those countries that are now promoting birth control, China and US, they've used the population already. They are now at a stage where they can say
let me take Olumide. Olumide, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good morning.
Thank you very much for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I want to look at it from a completely different perspective. Can you hear me?
Very clearly. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I want to look at it from a different perspective. Now, the population is growing, but God has created land. The land remains the same. The more we grow, the more the competition for space for individuals. So we should take that into cognizance that the space is not growing. Today, if 4 people are competing for a space, tomorrow it could be 8, and that would make it more difficult. So it's good we control our population. I'm not talking about today, I'm talking about the future.
Right.
In future. So with the earlier we start, the better.
Thank you very much, Olumide. I think we're going to wrap up on this, but I think generally we agree that, yes, it's important for us to take cognizance of our economic realities. But at the same time, don't give birth to children you can't afford. Because I know life always, but just like our caller, Mutukwe said, life happens to you. Yes, you have planned for only 2 children or 3 children. And then something happens, either you lose your job, you can't afford them. You know, you had 5, you're a rich man. You had 5 kids because you can afford it. But then your business crumbled, everything went down, and then you have 5 kids, you can't pay their school fees. You're not looking for one brother or somebody to come and can you help me, you know? So life happens. So regardless of how, even if you can afford it, just be planning properly and ensure that these children are well.
Let me quickly chip in something. There's this thing somebody told me recently, and it's been ringing in my head. He said, have the number of children that if anything happens to you or to anybody around you or your spouse, you can pick them and run with. It's easy. Just pick them. Born with you if you carry. So if it happens now and, okay, it's only me and these children, there are 3. Carry one for back, carry one, I can go. If I add another one, I don't know if I can survive.
But also, even though it's a personal problem, a family issue, a family decision, it also impacts largely on our population and our community and other families as well. I just quickly went to India, because when we were saying India had turned this population around, they still have issues of overpopulation. But one of the ways that they have helped to reduce, they're actually working on reducing population, reducing the increase in population. So they're talking about more men are getting vasectomies, more women are getting contraception. So 48% of their women are actually getting contraception. About 300,000 of their men in recent times are getting vasectomies. So
very quickly,
we have to wrap up. Yes, 1 minute.
You know, for countries that, you know, they're trying to control population without necessarily planning. We don't want to end up with a larger percentage of older generation, no youth. They must plan, you know, the birth control. We don't want to have a situation where the younger generation...
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Come closer. A little bit more. Perfect. I have exciting news for you. You asked for it and you got it. Your favorite breakfast show, Your View, will be going to 2 hours. We're going to have in-depth analysis of the newspaper review and more conversations on the hot topics. The ladies of Your View and I will be stirring up our guests to get an in-depth into all the various topics, and you, our viewers, will have the opportunity to call in and share your views. After all, it's your view. Join us on Your View, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for a fantastic conversation. Don't miss it.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
How we're doing, guys? Is the makeup in progress? Makeup? Check. Are the scripts on the prompter? Script? Check. Are we set in the PCR? All tip in place? PCR? Check. Clock is ticking, time is racing, lights are. Plans all set. 120 minutes of hot entertainment. We are ready for the mission. How we're doing, guys? Is the makeup in progress? Makeup? Check. Are the scripts on the prompter? Script? Check. Are we set in the PCR? All tip in place? PCR? Check. Clock is ticking, time is racing, lights are. Plans all set. 120 minutes of hot entertainment. We are ready for the mission. How we're doing, guys? Is the makeup in progress? Makeup? Check. Are the scripts on the prompter? Script? Check. Are we set in the PCR? All tip in place? PCR? Check. Clock is ticking, time is racing, lights are. Plans all set. 120 minutes of hot entertainment. We are ready for the mission.
Thanks for staying with us. So, you can't have a Friday without celebrity gist. So, one of our celebrities, actress Eukaria Ananubi, in one of her recent videos, said Nigerians who build all these palatial houses in the villages is foolishness, according to her. She said it's not wise to spend so much money to build a house in a place you rarely stay. Instead, use that money to provide affordable accommodation for those who are in dire need of it. Now, that obviously is a noble sentence to say, but in reality, many people feel that, listen, my responsibility just to my family members or to my mother, my father in the village. So if I get wealthy in the city, I go to the village and I build a house there. Maybe my parents can stay there. Sometimes they don't even want, some people don't even allow their parents to stay there. There's nobody there, they leave it empty. Yeah. Because you drive home, you drive to this place and you see, I remember when I used to go to see Daddy Nikiti, Femi's dad. And you know, you see a lot of lovely houses and it's just locked up.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what happened? Maybe they come there once a year. So according to her, it's foolishness to do that. You know, why don't you rather build houses where people actually live in? What are your thoughts on this? And I'd like to also link that to the fact that people ask to be buried in these houses. And when you bury them in these houses, you can't rent it out again. Yes. You know, so it's like a whole house is like a It's like a mortuary. It's like a burial ground, like a mortuary for one person, the owner of the house. So these are some of the factors that people get involved in. But what are your thoughts on this issue of building a house that nobody lives in our villages?
Okay, so I think Eucharia is spot on with that conversation. While I would not want to tell people how to spend their money, because if they've worked hard for it, they will tell you they've worked hard for their money. That is how they choose to spend it. It's none of your business. Go and make your own and build in your village for your community members, you know. But also, I want us to start looking at how to avoid a culture of waste. We are very wasteful in this part of the world, where because we are not constantly thinking of other people, we are just focused on being selfish and ourselves. And you put a huge amount of money in building a house. First of all, like if you come into go to the east, you build that house and there are deplorable state of the roads. You're not concerned about how you can even get to the house. After all, you are in your big, you know, car. You can get in and get out. And then you abandon these houses till once in a year. And I know a few things about houses, that when people are not living in the house, it takes a lot to maintain. The houses, as if houses respond to the spirits of people living in them. If you leave a house empty for like 10 years, and you compare it with a house that people are living in for 10 years, when you get there, you see the difference in terms of the condition of the house, the structure itself. So it's wasteful to just, you know, keep that amount of money. And I also understand that most of the people who just keep that amount of money is a way of tying down the money that they have gotten from somewhere, because a right-thinking person who is constantly doing business and counting numbers will not want to put in money and just abandon it. You want your money to be working for you. So it's a way of just, okay, we've taken this money, let's find somewhere to put it. And you put those houses there, and you leave it there. Nobody is attending to it. So if you are building for your family members, that somebody will be there to maintain the house, probably your relatives are still there, it's a different ball game. But to build such houses in those villages that you come once in a year, once in 2 years, I think is wasteful.
But so are you saying that when you now go home to the villages, you have to come and pay for a guest
in a
house?
hotel.
So, I mean, for them, they see it as cost.
It's not costly. It's cheaper to stay in a hotel if you're going there once in a year than to have, do you know how much they put in those structures? And if you enter those sort of buildings, I've seen a few of them, especially in the east, you need to see the designs, the gold and everything. I just think it's wasteful.
I agree with you, BC. I think, but what Kira is saying is beyond foolishness. It's a culture of statement making. It shows
status symbol.
Status symbol that, you know, and statement making that you've been successful in the city. You don't want to come home and you're putting a building together. I don't want to say it like that, but the mentality is that when you come home and you're putting a structure on ground, it has to reflect the level of success
you've had
that
outside
you have done in the journey. So till tomorrow, my people call village, even though home is Lagos, where I was born and I live with my family, they call Lagos abroad, Johnny. And when I go to Ouch and I want to build a place in Ibie, it has to be palatial. It has to be
reflection of your Lagos
of the level of success. So they can say, is that TVC gay? This house. You know, so, but the disconnect is that, why I say it's a wrong mentality is that I have the house, but I don't have road.
To go to the house.
To the house. And the place is not you have to, your ball will reach the access stores. In fact, we almost reach the devil.
Electricity is from the grid. You have to
get water.
You will buy your electricity.
And so when other factors happen, what you do when you build a house, you must build a house that reflects the sustainable kind of building for your environment. You don't want to live in a place where the landslides happen.
There was a book I read. I can't remember the author. He was saying that he got funding from the US to build boreholes in certain communities in a certain village. So he was so excited. He got this money and he built, I think, about maybe 15 or so villages, and he was really happy about that. And they got water. But guess what? He learned from that lesson because he used some really interesting equipment to do the borehole that they couldn't fix. So when it broke down, that was it. So in 6 months later, so they called him, Uncle, the borehole doesn't work again. He said, call it, they had to bring in an electrician from the city. And that was not sustainable, bringing in somebody from the city to come and fix. So the people in the neighborhood are not educated enough to use that. So you build a beautiful house. And you put in some kind of air conditioner or some kind of gadgets that requires a special maintenance. And the people in that community can do it. So you'll be happy about it the first Christmas. Second Christmas, yes, by third Christmas, it's done. So you just wasted all this time and there's nobody. So it's part of what Eucharia is probably pointing out. But let me come to you, Maria.
Yeah, I agree with her. And I think that a lot of these things happen because people were looking for the ones that I know of that I have seen happen are people who, at a certain point in their lives, they had the money to have these houses all across the country and abroad. But then, you know, life happens, and then you have this village home that you don't visit as much. And then you also, life happens, children are not going back to the village as much. So we used to have people who, that village house did not sit empty. They visited it maybe 3 to 4 times a year. Yeah. But their children have, you know, they've grown up differently. They don't really have any ties to the village. For the parents is that maybe I grew up in this village and I'm going back to even see
my roots,
my old friends, my old community. But for the children, they never grew up there. They just come to visit and are counting the time for when they will leave. So when those parents pass away, then you have houses that are left empty. Now, you know, there's also that mentality which you sort of highlighted where you're supposed to go away and then send money home so that develop where you are. But the way we develop is to show, see, look at who I am, look at how big I am. So really and truly, if we want to do it right, and I think Oyibo people know how to do these things right, they build a community center. They build a health center, you know, things like that. Yes, we don't want to tell anyone how to spend their money, but if we're talking about how do we build sustainable, you know, legacies, I think these are the sort of things that you can hold on and say they are legacies, because your house would run down, but that health center will forever have your name or your name on it, and people will constantly refer to it and how it has helped different lives.
Let me take Helen that comes to you, because you touched on some really important points I would like to hop on. Helen, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Mariah. Good morning, ladies. Okay, I love this conversation. I hope the Igbo people are not listening. So, I'm from Delta State. Yes, we have a village house. In fact, let me call it a resort that my late dad built there before he passed away. A resort with golf course, with palatial, in fact, many chalets, 8-bedroom house, ground, swimming pool, barbecue.
Wow.
My dad built it. He passed away 6 years ago. And to be honest with you, it's been horrendous for trying to keep that place alive. So we have to. We have security people that we keep there sometimes. Sometimes they go. We have to do the gardening and try and do the lawns and make sure the landscaping is. But I tell you, we're getting tired. So we have to spend money. The last time we went there, we went to Asaba to go and stay. We went to stay in the hotel, and then we would come back, you know, village to just see what they're doing. But we never slept there. So sometimes I ask myself, why do we really have this? I mean, I didn't build it. My dad built it. I don't know why we have it there or what.
Thank you, Helen. Oh, Helen, you just gave us a fantastic angle, which I'd like to stay on, because we see this a lot. Somebody has a beautiful idea for a lovely resort. It happened with Tinapa. Tinapa was a phenomenal idea, but it was put in the center where I know Moabudu tried to bring the whole of Ebony life to Tinapa, but eventually it wasn't sustainable. They didn't have power. They didn't have that. They were trying to so hard to make it work. Eventually, they had to leave. So Tinapa is in the middle of Cross River State, and they don't have the economic capacity to make that thing come alive. The same thing, you build a Disneyland in the community, and everybody's coming all the way from all the world to come to Disneyland. So he had a fantastic idea to have that resort. But the community at that time, they probably don't need a resort. They need probably houses to live in. They need somebody to build nice townhouses or big houses that can have affordable housing for the average person. So sometimes is that priority, what do we think is right for us to build in these villages? What is and it goes back to what I always say. Those of us that like to eat bacon, I go back to this bacon. Can you sustain bacon? So you travel abroad and you eat bacon. Like, I want bacon. You bring bacon with dollars in Nigeria. When it is ogi, that's the community where you grew up can take. So instead of you to refine ogi, make it affordable. This is what the people will eat, and you make money because it's pure water. Pure water, people are buying money in pure water. But no, you have to bring in the champagne, give me a name of the champagne.
Yes, no,
Moët and all that. You got to bring those things. So it goes back to this: you're building a resort in a community where it can't sustain it.
So I think we need to start paying attention to the reality on ground.
Yeah.
And taking away the ego of who I am and what I have achieved. So if you take away that ego and you say, okay, I want to connect to my roots, I want to build a place in my village so that at least my children can come from time to time, we'll have somewhere to stay. And you make it like a regular bungalow thing that you can build. And always ensure that you have somebody, maybe a relative, who will be managing the house. It's easier. So, and I know that people get tired of things. So you have this house now, it's looking very beautiful. After a few years, you feel like, please, I can't even stay in that place again. Yeah. When we go to the village, we're going to stay in a hotel. My husband was having a conversation with a friend recently. And the guy was saying, you people need to build a house in the village so that your children will be used to your roots. And my husband was like, I don't understand. My own village, I've not gone there in years. I can't even find a way to this village. I was born and bred in Lagos. My children now don't know that place. So why do I want to go and put money and build something that tomorrow they may say they don't even want to stay in the country? How do I get them to manage that? That his own parents' house, they are still struggling to sell it in the village because there's nobody to take care of it. But the guy said, no, you have lost your roots. It was a heated conversation in the sitting room. I mean, I just sat there, I was looking. I said, me, I'm not going to any village with anybody. I am here.
Let me take this call from Hassan, because this is such a crucial conversation. Good morning, Hassan. You're live.
Good morning, executive members of the panel.
Good morning, sir.
You see, this discussion reminds me of Ali Masruri in his Triple Heritage, where he says, when the whites are going to the moon, we are busy going back to the village. That is the problem we are having. It has to do with our culture. It has to do with our constitution. Because in our constitution, it was explicitly stated, state of origin. Brought up in the north, a son that was born in your presence will grow up and call you a foreigner. So, you don't blame people at times, but we need to have a kind of restructuring of mindset. We need to sit down with ourselves, look at ourselves very well, and make a path that is positive for ourselves.
Right.
That is what you see in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Look, you cannot go to a village and be in a hotel. It's uncalled for. Right. Just build a moderate house. Don't reflect Lagos in your village. Don't reflect London in your village. Don't reflect Abuja in your village. Good morning.
Thank you, Hassan. So there are two types of empty houses in our villages. One, the one that Yukira is talking about, which is you build a house, you build there once a year. But there's one that she raised, which is really critical, where our fathers built this house. We've moved to the city. The house is there, empty. So our father comes to Lagos to live with us, for example. He goes sick, maybe he's 98 years old, he dies, he asks, take me back home. And you bury him there, and that's it. And after you bury grandpa, because your own children are already planning to go to the abroad, to Canada. You live in the city. So daddy's house is there, nobody's going there.
Dilapidated.
It's there, empty. So you drive through the states, the various states, the villages, and you see empty houses. All you see is somebody's grave, burial ground there, and that's it. So what's the reason? That's what Hassan is saying. We need a reworking of our mind, and even our constitution. Because one government will just come one day and say, okay, all these houses, build them down because we want to build the road. Can they do that? We don't understand moving dead bodies. Because many of these houses across these major roads have somebody's dead body there. So do we now exhume the bodies, take them to a government cemetery so we can break down these houses to build a road for the people to use?
So government has to build, they have to exhume. They do exhume bodies. But what I know, being a person who learned her culture and language in Lagos, I knew how important it was for my parents that we do not lose touch with our lineage or our roots in Ibia where I'm from. And the way they struggle to pass it down. My grandfather built a house in history that he brought his brothers to live in. Today, the whole house, none of his grandchildren or his own children directly live in that house anymore. They've all left it. They've all progressed into Some progressed in other areas of the village, some progressed outside the village. And for my own generation, Grandpa try. I'm not interested. I cannot go to village and go and be speaking English with a first cousin or a second cousin about whose father built what. I really can't be bothered.
Absolutely.
So, I think
what do we do to ensure it's properly passed down? Because even I read...
There's nothing you're passing down. Let's not be...
So, okay, so...
I don't want to go to religious.
Should we say you own it, and when I die, that's it?
Yeah. So that mentality then... Sorry, Miriam, no vex. That mentality then removes this corrupt mentality that our Toshimo mentality. So some politicians have that mentality, and that's why they will build and take and build things they really don't need. Which one do you need exactly? It's only where you stay. And when you die, only where you
I'll
bury.
come to you, Fashola, I believe. Good morning, Fashola. Oh, I'm so sorry I kept you waiting. Go ahead, Mariam.
Yes. You know, the building of house in the village can also happen to you today, which is you built your house here in Nigeria and your children will grow up and live somewhere else, and your house will become the village house that they can't come back to. So I agree with Hassan where he says build something modest and build for yourself. Don't build for generations to come because everybody's going to come here and stay here and live here. Do you understand? Because it likely may not happen. And we can say that confidently because it's been shown that it doesn't happen. But there are families that are able to sustain that. And I don't know what they do. I would like to find out what they do, that no matter where the family is, a certain period, certain periods of the year, they all come back, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and you're able to look at pictures of, your great-grandfather. They're able to do that, but they're very few. The way life is, people are just constantly moving away and, finding new places. So I think, as I said before, our legacy should be less on the houses that we build for ourselves and more things that we can build for communities, things that will outlive us and serve communities long after you're gone. And that's what I think we should do.
See, that example you gave where people come home from all over the world. Yes, it happens when you have like a matriarch or a patriarch still alive. Once that person passes on, that's the person that brings you home.
That's
so that person...
There are very few families, even after the original matriarch or patriarch passes, they still are able to do it. That's why I said it will be interesting. It will be very good to be able to find out what they're doing differently.
Let me take this call from Chidi. Chidi, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay, Chidi is my name.
Yes.
I'm calling from Abuja.
Yes, go ahead, Chidi.
Yeah. I just want to say something about the topic of discussion. The issue of building house in the village is a function of how much you have. If you have money enough, you can build your taste, whatever you want, anywhere, whether in Abuja or in Lagos. And your house reflects who you are. And let me correct this impression about roads in the southeast. It's not true that everywhere in the southeast the roads are bad. It's not true. So many villages in the southeast have very good roads. You can confirm yourself, but there are some major roads to the southeast that doesn't have very good, and that is what people usually make reference to. That is not correct. You can build a house based on how much you have. Even if you build a small house in the village, it is still going to dilapidate like the big one. So that is it. You cannot come to your village and begin to stay in a hotel. I mean, that's your place, for God's sake. If people don't build houses in their village, how will those places develop? So the place should be left fallow. Like somebody called earlier, Hassan. We have the state of origin in this country. People always make reference to where they come from. And you cannot go to your home and go and stay in the village. So if you don't build in your village, you don't really have the money.
Chidi, let me stay with you for a second.
You cannot build.
Chidi, let me stay with you for a second. Let me stay with you. Chidi, can you hear me? Hello, Chidi.
So why go and build? Why build small places?
Chidi, can you hear me? Chidi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I want to engage you. So I like your perspective, and I like to learn from you. I like your perspective, and I like to learn from you. So the conversation started when people say that you build a house in the village and you abandon it for a whole year and don't come until next year, December. The point is does that make sense? Or rather build complexes or maybe apartments where people in the community can live in. So even if it's just 1-2 bedroom you have for yourself, at least you are helping the community. It's better than you building this big edifice that only you and your families come in once a year. That was the way the conversation started from. Do you agree with that?
Hello?
You didn't hear me.
Hello?
All right, Chidi, I have to. So let's.
May I quickly say that? Okay, so for instance, me now, we've had a family house in Asaba for as long as I can remember. I grew up in that house, and right now, the only link tying me to Asaba is my father. That's the only. If I say I'm going to Asaba now, it's because I want to see him. Or my grandmother is dead. Or my relatives, like everybody, scattered all over. Right. It's just him. So if anything happens and he goes, I have no business in Asaba. I have no business in it. Where do I want to go to? And it's not like I want to be running houses all over the country. That's not. See, the world is so global now that I can stay in a hotel room and run my life if I can afford it. So I think it's a bit, now where everybody's talking about the roots, but if we really want our country to go ahead, I think that house that probably they would have sold after he goes, or I'll now go and get a land and start building because I want to be going there once in a year or once in 2 years. How am I supposed to start that conversation?
Would it be nice for you to have a house where you go there and your kids, as they're growing up, they know that they have a home in Asaba, that we're not, we live here. Now. Yeah, just go to, just in case grandpa passes on now, right? And then your kids are growing up, and every year you make it a point, like, I want my children to know where I'm from. So your dad used to, this is my room, this is your grandpa's room, this is where you used to stay.
Who will maintain it when we are back after the holidays?
So that's probably that's the rationale.
Who will maintain the house? So what I've seen and read is you build, people will say moderately, but you build it with the community in mind. So the community in mind is they are working in the house. Do you have, maybe, are you so rich, you have horses, so there are community people taking care of the stables and things like that. So it's constantly being taken care of even when you're not there. So it has to be a functioning building. It cannot just be a building to come and stay only during the holidays. It has to also pay the people around you somehow. Your relatives will love you, but nobody really, after a while, wants to keep doing things for free. And what I've also seen is that sometimes it's the cousins that take over these places. Yeah, your father had built a house.
And then 20 years down the line, do not start a family, if something happened, was handed over to us. They'll tell you your history. Let me take this call from Buchi. Buchi, good morning, are you there? Hello, Buchi.
Ladies.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. So I really enjoyed the topic you guys brought up this morning. So for me, I've currently reflected on this topic for a while, and I've engaged some colleagues and friends on what they think regarding this. So for me, I don't think, personally, let me speak for myself. Personally, I think God has blessed me well to be able to build any type of house I want in my village. But currently, I don't feel like building a big house. I don't even know if I want to build a small house. So I'm currently in my early 40s, and I have 3 kids. But now, reflecting on who I am, my family, my parents, they stayed a bit in the village, but they are no longer there. In fact, they left village very early. My father lived most of his life in Lagos and Port Harcourt. Same with my mom. As I speak, I don't have a grandfather, grandmother, no mother in the village. So what am I going to the village to erect a big building? I have the means. If I want, I can erect any type of house. I can. But looking at my children, I know that these children, I look at them, I think of them. I know that in the near future, very likely, they may not even be in Nigeria. They may decide to leave. But even if they stay in Nigeria, they will not be in the village more than I am. So if I think of myself, I can't think of 2 or 3 more times that my father took me to the village. So why am I going to erect a palatial house, even though I have the means? Again, some people say, where will you bury your mother? Where will you bury your father? That's not an issue. I have a big compound. I can turn it to a garden.
Thank you very much.
Building of big houses in the village, or building a house that you think would keep your own family history alive, is one person's vision. And that's where the problem is here.
It's one person's vision.
It's usually one person's vision. So my grandfather was born, bred, grew, and died in the same place. He deserved a palatial house there. But my father moved for economic reasons somewhere else. He had needed to live in comfort where he lived. And so he built a house in Lagos. So why will I now leave the comfort that where I work and go and build a house to make statements for someone in the village? The missing line is that you then have cousins who don't have that vision, who don't even send your vision at all. Come up and retell your history to your children. We have a house now where, in fact, I'm tired of the stories from that house. It's the same thing with my grandfather's house, where things are going wrong. They're not calling you that you're not living there. People living there are saying, I cannot maintain broken pipeline, I cannot maintain leaky roof, I cannot do that. That's the reality of having those houses over generations. the first generation after you might try. The next one, they are far distracted. The third one not even send eventually. So people should start to rethink the need for these things. Maybe if you want to live your lineage, tell stories to your children. Let them know how. If my grandmother should die now, finish.
The story don't end.
Let me take this call from Ade. Ade, you're calling from London. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning, you're live.
My point is that this thing is personal. If your family or your great-grandfather, everybody come from Lagos, you can build house in Lagos. If they come from Kano, you can build house in Kano. But when it comes to other parts of the southern, it depends on how is your town, how is the village to your family. Maybe in that village, if you build your house, before you finish it, they kill you. And you have the history of this in that village. And now you are successful, you are in America, and you are now planning to go to the same village and build a house. Then you are on your own. And 75% of children we are having today, most especially in diaspora, if they visit Nigeria at all, they will go to Abuja or Lagos. They will have no time to go to any village. So what's the essence of going to the village? If you want to help your village, look for what they want, maybe school or health center or borehole. Do something for them and get out from the place. Me, I'm not in support.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
You know why I screamed there? You know why I screamed? Because I was preparing to go there. So we've had some villages that for every time you get there, there's always, I don't want to go personal now. There's always negative energy, and probably you've gone to visit and you're coming back and all your children are sick, or something happens on the road, and it seems like, okay, these are the ones that went to the cities to go and make money. Now they have come and we will pepper them, we will show them. And you are not very, it feels like you are not received in that sort of village. Would you advise that sort of person to go and build a house there? You are hiding yourself in the city. Nobody knows whether you drink Gary or not. They just once in a while stumble on pictures. And then you now go to the village and expose yourself that you have money. You want to build this sort of house, and you're not able to live to even enjoy the house. So people have different reasons why they stay away from the villages. And I don't think anybody should judge them based on that. If you're comfortable being a Nigerian, I mean, see, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a global citizen. If it doesn't work like this, I will go somewhere else and I will survive. I don't necessarily have to go to the village. I know my history, I know my roots. I'm going to try as much as possible. Like one of the things I wanted to do to try and sustain my story so that we don't leave it, because I came from a very peculiar village in Asaba, Umojife, is to get my father to tell a story. So I'm putting it in a book that my children can read and remember. I don't have to
Every American is not from America. I mean, they all came in from Europe. So they didn't have to go and sell their bikes. Okay, their forefathers didn't have to go and build. Okay, do your roots, Irish roots or your German roots.
One of the reasons why we can build big houses and just lock them up, we don't pay tax on
this.
Abroad. They are paying a lot of tax.
You can't just build and just leave it at abandoned.
What has happened now, they now open their houses as, tourist centers for people to go and visit. Because it has to make money to keep a building just laying
for that point. Let me take this call, Afolabi from Cotonou. Hello? Yes, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Afolabi from Cotonou. Yeah, thank you very much. This topic we are discussing is a very important one for every man, equally for every Nigerian woman.
Yeah.
You see, I subscribe to the point that it's not a bad thing for you to build a house in your village. It's a good idea because of tomorrow. You know, we all talk about plan B or no plan B. You don't know what happens later. That place you build in the village may be what will rescue you at the end of the day. Maybe the only thing you come back to meet after you are retired or if anything happens. Remember what happened to our people after the experience of the Civil War in Nigeria, where you have to go back to your roots. If anything happens now, if chicken comes to roast, you have no place to call your place than your village. That's where you feel safest. And it's not bad if you have a place there. It's a shame for every African man not to have a place of abode where in a place where he calls his origin. If something brings you to your village, for example, I'm not even in Nigeria, I don't talk of being in the village. But I have a place in my village. If something should bring me home, I have a place to put my head. It's more honorable for you to go and look for a hotel. Or if somebody, a friend of mine, has to come with me, or I have to find myself in my place, I will not be a stranger in a place where I was born. If your father
Mr. Falabi, thank you, Mr. Falabi. You know, my father took me to my village as a child. You know, he took us down to Tokumbo Street on the island. And I saw that how my own village has become a city. So what do I do? I have, so they everywhere, because he told me how. It was my father's place of birth.
Your father, Afolabi is saying, how can you go to the place you are born and be using left hand to point to your father's house? You know, there's a cultural mentality to it. In Lutoti, without BSc, you are now using left hand.
Yeah, what is that? Also, Mr. Afolabi has just, for me, opened to us the reason why people build the houses. Right. So here we are thinking, oh, it's foolishness, but there's a reason. People come from it. There was history that happened where people were asked to go back home. So for that sort of person who has gone through that experience, there has to be a plan B, and plan B is find a place in your house with your people where people know you and know your roots. But I think life has changed. A lot of things have happened since then. So life has evolved. We too will evolve in our investments and where we put roots eventually. Like I said before, some of the houses that we're living in now, building and beautifying, in a few years when our children grow up, they will call these houses the village houses. They don't come to
outdated. So sometimes you go back to that village and the house has been taken over. What then happens? Not government, family members.
Taking it over.
They've taken it over. They don't have a space for you. So what do you have? What happens?
You leave them.
Life happens to everybody. So sometimes that plan B, you think you are shoring up so that if anything happens here and I go back, you have to go and rent somewhere in that your same village after you have built a house, and you'll be telling us the story of see how my family members chased me out of so and so. And you know that those people in the village, you cannot fight house fights and land fights empty-handed. They are ready for you. So you that have been in the city all your life, you just quietly go and hide somewhere and start your life all over again. So let's not assume that you keep a house there. When you come back, you meet that house. Anything can happen.
Fantastic. I think we can end on that. Okay, are we good? You take Facebook messages. Let's take it. I have 1 more minute, please. Hurry up.
She says, Igbo guys will build a mansion and lock the gate so nobody will put juju inside when they are not there.
Mr. Adebayo says you can't work so hard and decide to spend those hard-earned money to build where you will only generate more controversy when you die. If there's need for you, visit and tell your kids stories and let them see things visually.
Ifeanyi Ken says, we are from Ibusa but stay in Asaba. My father used all his pension money to build big house in the village that nobody stays in. I begged him to build a commercial house in Asaba. A flat in Asaba today is 800,000. He was whining. I don't know is right.
Oladidi says, I don't even know my grandfather personally. I don't even know the names of my great-grandparents. 4 or 5 generations down the line, many people would have been forgotten to have ever lived.
So that's
okay,
bad.
That's all we can take. But I would like to end with,
we need to do better.
You take my grandfather's way. My grandfather was very smart. In 1976, he died. And as I said, till my mother died, she was still collecting inheritance. So she doesn't want to know where the father's house. Doesn't want to just be every month, every quarter. She gets something. That was a wise man back in 1976.
The thing is this: you are the second generation or third after him.
Yeah.
Will you be able to collect inheritance?
I don't even want to know. But she collected.
It's the point.
Eventually, but the point is that he was so smart, and so if you are building a house, if your father is going to be there, let him plan. What I'm just saying, he planned it.
It's God that
so father planned.
God Almighty sustains lineage. No matter what you do, pray that your lineage is sustained. Not any effort that you do will sustain it, but the will of God.
Okay.
Somebody gave me an advice here. Say, BC Asaba is not a village, so you can build and rent. During Civil War, people needed homes. Just build and rent. Your village is your state capital. Okay.
Okay.
I'll consider that.
That is all we can take on the show today. Have a fabulous weekend. See you Monday.
I'm looking forward to this weekend.